Hey, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Flex and Fiber, where we lift and we eat plants. So, I am one of your hosts, Coach Carmelle. I am a whole food plant based nutrition coach. I'm a fitness coach, and I also guide folks who are suffering from serious sugar cravings and even pre-diabetes and diabetes. I help them guide them through a whole food plant-based lifestyle. And I will introduce to you now Coach Lesley. Hey, Coach Lesley.
Hey, as Carmelle stated, I'm Coach Lesley. I'm a performance and nutrition coach, CrossFit athlete, marathon runner, and OCB bikini pro.
So welcome everybody. We are excited to be here. This is our third episode. And so Coach Lesley, let's kick this off and let's start talking about what we talked about this week.
All right, so we always start our podcast with a fitness myth buster, and this week's topic is vegans don't get enough protein. So as we know, myself and Coach Carmelle, we are both vegan, plant-based, whole food, plant-based for the most part, vegans, and we have muscle and we can build muscle and we get all the protein that we need. So how do we do that? A lot of times people that are not vegan or are new to being vegan are eating a lot of carbs and they're not intentionally getting their protein because as a lot of us have done, we become vegan and we just take out all the meat, dairy, eggs, all that stuff. And typically those are more of the higher protein foods in our diet. So we replace that with a bunch of sides. At least I did. I just took all the meat off, left all of the sides, and I was like, this is great. I'm loving it. Carbs are amazing, but I wasn't being intentional with my protein. So I quickly learned that I needed protein. For my protein, I do a lot of tofu. I do tempeh. I do edamame. I eat seitan. I will dabble in TVP, which we talked about last week. Oh, there's Caesar making his appearance.
Hey, Caesar.
So ton of different kinds of protein. I do use a clean protein powder now. After bodybuilding, I started to get back into the routine of eating protein powder again. And today I actually made my banana pudding yogurt with protein powder, and it's so good. It tastes like banana pudding. And that's another way I get protein is my yogurt, my dairy-free yogurt, and my chickpea or lentil pasta. So all of those are super high in protein. None of them are just like random sides. I eat all of them on a regular basis and I get over my body weight in protein a day. So
Yep. So you said it. I think it's you have to be very intentional about it. And at first when I became whole food plant-based, I just didn't know what I was doing. So I just, like you said, I just ate all the sides and it was all good and it was all tasty. And that's when I realized that, okay, I'm losing muscle, especially as a woman who's in the perimenopause stage of life. I was losing muscle very, very quickly. And at one point, I even considered, you know what, this is the way my life is right now. I'm vegan. And I didn't realize that I could get enough protein. I kind of fell into that. I'm just not going to get as much protein as I did before until I started training for my fitness competition, the bikini competition. And you were like, we need more protein. And I'm like, how do I do that? So what I did, I'm a big smoothie person. I love to throw things in the blender and drink it. I love it. But I'm not a fruit smoothie person. I throw all the vegetables in there. I got my collards, I got my broccoli in there, I got beets in there. I love it all. I love it all. And in order to sweeten it up, I would put in the dates and the bananas and the berries, sure. But what I started to do was actually throw tofu into my smoothies, and I was throwing green peas into my smoothies and other beans into my smoothies. And I actually got that from you, Lesley, because you were like, yeah, like I throw beans in my smoothies. And I was like, how do you do that? Send me a recipe. She's like, girl, recipe what? I throw it in. So I started to do that, and I started to make sure that I was consuming enough protein, measuring, of course, looking at my serving sizes, seeing how much protein, grams of protein that were in any particular serving sizes. So that was one way I started to add in my protein, and it was delicious. You find your combinations and you find your what tastes nice to you, because if it doesn't taste good to you, you're not going to come back. And then I discovered tofu, and that changed the game. And then I discovered air fried tofu. Wow, that was that was beautiful. It was golden. I was like, life could not be better. And then so top the tofu and the soy products off with things on edamame included. Edamame was always a favorite, even before I knew what edamame was. And I do the soybeans, the red beans, the lentils, the chickpeas, all of those foods, high in protein. And then on top of that, everything that comes out of the earth has protein in it. And of course, some of them don't have much, but they has a little bit of protein. So as long as I know that my plate is full of different various types of foods, I am consuming enough protein. And when I'm super intentional about it, like when I was training for the bikini competition, I measured everything and I made sure that I had enough protein in, like you said, more than my body weight in protein. And Lesley, you said all the things that I also consume, the TVP, the lentils, etc. Protein powders. So at first I was using like pea protein. So one ingredient, peas, like no sugar, very little sodium. I also did peanut butter protein, and that was the only ingredient, like protein, like the isolates from the peanut butter. And and then from there, I just bounce around to different protein powders, but I'm always looking at the ingredients. And there's some good protein powders out there, and there's some bland, nasty tasting protein powders out there. It ranges everything from smooth to grainy, and it all really depends on what tastes good to you, and also how you flavor it, what other ingredients that you put in it. And again, Coach Lesley and I are whole food plant-based. I don't deal with sugar the same way I used to. So usually sugar is not a part of the equation. Basically how I sweeten up my protein smoothies are with the bananas and berries. And that's really it. My sister likes to throw in the dates in there, and that's cool too. And lately what I've been doing is I have the little halo tangerines, and I have the vanilla, what is it, Birdman or something? The vanilla protein powder that I have, it's vanilla. And when I eat my halo tangerines, I actually keep the peel, the rind of it, and I throw it into my blender. So it has this orange popsicle taste. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm gonna have to try that.
It's so good. So now there's more vitamin C in the orange peel than there is in the actual orange. So I'm getting a burst of vitamin C and flavor with my vanilla flavored protein powder. So the sky's the limit. You can mix and match, and that's the beauty of plant-based. That's the beauty of being plant-based. So I look forward to all my meals. The pasta, the protein pasta, that's also new 2025. Like 2025, maybe latter part of 2024, I discovered the protein pasta, and next level. So I'm always enjoying my food, and we consume plenty of protein. That is such not an issue. That's all.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's just your palate changes, and you really just have to be intentional, and that's with anything. And I agree. I've found a brand of pasta that I love, and it's made with chickpeas, lentils, sweet potatoes, cauliflower. It has all kind of vegetables in it. And it really just tastes like the texture is nice, and like kind of that like very noodly chewy taste, because
Yeah.
I've been dabbling in gluten-free pasta for some years now, because my sister has a gluten allergy,
Okay.
and we started doing, gluten-free pasta years ago, but it was just not, the texture was off, or it would be like very soft and just kind of disintegrate. And this pasta is not really like that. I mean, it has potential to be, because if you overcook it, but nowadays they have the brown rice pasta, the quinoa pasta, and they just taste like regular, wheat noodles. And yeah, they've really stepped their game up.
Yeah, I'm going to say that my experience with these pastas, they don't taste like wheat noodles, but I appreciate that because wheat noodles are wheat noodles. That's fine.
Mhm.
And people are under the conception, they have this misconception that wheat noodles are not vegan. They are vegan.
Yeah,
They're
most of them are. Yeah.
most likely they're not gluten free, but they are vegan. But people get confused like that because what people top their pasta with is not vegan.
Right.
The meat sauces and whatever else they put in there, the dairy in their sauces, that is what makes your pasta dish not vegan. However, I found these pastas online, and it's edamame pasta, black bean pasta, and they have such an interesting taste to it. Now, the first time when I started cooking the protein pastas, I was cooking them too long because I was thinking that they were the wheat pastas. So I was cooking
Right.
them for like 10, 15 minutes, where all it really needs is once that water's boiled, you need 3 to 5 more minutes. That's it. So it's super quick and they're super tasty, and they they hold up to me better than wheat. I enjoy them better than I do wheat pasta, to be quite honest, because they're not as filling. So I don't walk away feeling like I just ate so much stuff. And because it's not wheat and they're beans, it's high in protein and very little carbohydrate. So I'm not walking around thinking or knowing. Remember, I deal with sugar. I know that I'm not getting this huge sugar spike in my blood sugar when I'm done consuming it. So that's definitely a plus.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
Agreed.
All right. So shall we move on to the next segment?
Yeah. Today, Carmelle and I, or Coach Carmelle and I, are going to be telling you all about our plant-based origin stories and how we got into this lifestyle, what made us change from meat to tofu, and all of the ups and downs in between. So, Coach, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I'll go
Okay.
first. So I'm plant-based, what, 4 years now? 4 years? 2021 was the year for me. 22, 23, 24, 25. Yes, I used my fingers. Don't judge. So I'm plant-based 4 years now. And before that, for about 20 years, I was not eating red meat or pork. So I was consuming poultry, eggs, fish, seafood, those types of foods. But mostly my diet at that time was consisting of shrimp and scallops and chicken and fish, right? So anyway, I had found myself in a community of plant-based vegans, and I didn't know at the time that they were plant-based as opposed to just vegans. Vegans tend to not really care about. I'm going to take that back. How we define the difference is that plant-based intentionally includes plant foods, like foods from the produce, foods that we're living at some point, right? Whereas vegans, they generally still are consuming the ultra processed foods. Why? Because their values come from the earth, and the animals. So they're caring a little bit more about the animals and not so much the health aspect. I jumped on board for the health aspect. I just wanted to see what whole food plant-based was about. I wanted to see what vegan was about. Again, at the time, I did not know the difference. I'm like, let's see what this is all about. And I didn't know how else to do it. So literally one day I was meal prepping for the week. It was a Sunday evening. I'm meal prepping for the week. And I said, let's try this. I'm curious. I'll have something to report back to my clients who might want to consider going vegan. So I literally took the shrimp and I put in the freezer. I took the chicken that I was preparing, I put in the freezer, and I started blending stuff and eating salads. And for the first 3 days, I was just kind of like, okay, this is okay. On the third day, I was just kind of like feeling tired, but I had expected that. So it was nothing that turned me off. I was expecting it from this community, what I heard from this community that I was a part of, that everybody was always talking about. Day number 4, I was like, wow, I haven't had chocolate in 4 days. Now, anybody knows me knows that chocolate was a part of my life every single day. And I bragged and boasted about it. I was just like, I'm a chocolate girl and I need chocolate every day. And it just so happened that I stopped one day and I said, I haven't had chocolate this week. And that was a big deal for me. And I was already addicted to sugar at the time. And I made it known I was addicted to sugar. I knew I was addicted to sugar. I was not making any intentional moves to get rid of my addiction because I pretty much look like this. So I was just kind of like, it's not hurting me in any way, or so I thought. Anyway, so okay, so I'm going to rewind a little bit. I feel like, again, I was saying that, I was just curious, but I feel like it was a nudge. I'm going to say a nudge from above. God, the universe, nudged me to become whole food plant-based, because only a week before that, I was diagnosed with 3 conditions. I was diagnosed with prediabetes, fatty liver disease, and high cholesterol. And I did not put the 2 together. I did not put diet and lifestyle together with these conditions. I just literally said, let me try vegan. But again, I think I was being nudged from above. Anyway, so 2 weeks into me becoming whole food plant-based vegan, all 3 of those diagnoses were reversed. 2 weeks. All 3 of those diagnoses were reversed. And my doctor was like, I don't understand. Were you an alcoholic because of my fatty liver disease? And I was like, really? That's the only way somebody in this day and age, that's the only way for somebody to get fatty liver disease. I knew it was because of the shit that I was eating. I figured it out by that time. So I was pretty much a believer at that point. And so at that point, I was even more curious about the whole food plant-based lifestyle. I came to realize that there was a difference between that and being vegan. I noticed it very quickly because a few weeks after I became whole food plant-based, Coach Lesley, I went down to my cousin's, and my cousin was like, I have a surprise for you. She opened up her refrigerator and all I saw were vegan foods. I saw the cakes and the cookies and the fake meats. And I'm like, I don't do that. I literally eat from the produce section because I didn't know how else to do it. I didn't know the foods that were out there. I wasn't curious about it. My body and my taste buds were literally satisfied with all the foods from the produce section that I was eating, the quinoa that I was eating, the rice I was eating. I was literally, and all the sides, right? Because protein did not come into play at this point. Also, I was literally satisfied and content with all of that. So when she opened up her refrigerator and showed that to me, I'm like, that's not what I'm doing at all. And she was like, oh, like her shoulders dropped, her face dropped. She was like, oh, like, but you said you were vegan. I'm like, I am, but I'm eating vegetables and fruits. Like, I don't even know what this is. It was filled with stuff that was filled with salt, oil, and sugar. Processed, ultra processed, things that I didn't recognize. She's telling me that I'm eating jerk chicken. What? It looks like jerk chicken. It tastes like jerk chicken, but there was something like, it was just a disconnect. I was like, I don't understand that. I understand broccoli. I don't understand what I'm looking at right here. I ate some of the food because she bought so much of it. And it was delicious, trust me. But whenever she talks about her having been through that transition and went vegan, she always says, oh, I gained weight when I went vegan. And now I understand why, right? So a lot of people gain weight when they go vegan because they're eating the ultra processed foods. But because of my curiosity and because of my fascination with how quickly I got rid of my diagnoses, I really went down that rabbit hole and I started watching all the documentaries. And it sealed a deal for me. I'm like, I know too much now and I can never go back. I know too much about how migrant workers are a big part of how these things are facilitated, and they're not treated well, and they have mental illness because of it, and they go home and they they're not good at home to their families, right? So there's a big percentage of domestic violence. I saw how the animals were being treated, and that didn't sit well with me either. Just because we want this big piece of meat on our plates that people oftentimes at a restaurant don't even finish, like, it didn't make any sense to me. I saw how it was killing people and supporting and promoting these chronic diseases, these chronic conditions, and hindering people's longevity, healthy aging. And I was like, wow, I know way too much. And since then, I have not looked back. And I don't judge anybody else for doing anything else. I just know me, and I couldn't do it anymore. And I'm completely happy with where I am in life. I know that I can get all the nutrients that I need from a plant-based diet, and whatever from a plant-based diet and lifestyle, and what I can't, I can supplement. But guess what? People are saying, oh, you have to supplement a lot because you're vegan, right? I'm like, you do too. You're not walking around completely full of all the nutrients that our bodies need. So that's where I am, coach. And that is my origin story, and how I came to find whole food plant-based, and how I healed myself, and how I know it's going to promote my healthy aging, especially as I transition through perimenopause into menopause.
Well, thanks for sharing that with me and the audience. I hope that inspires somebody and brings light to maybe something that someone has been thinking about but has not taken that leap of faith. So definitely inspirational, and we are here to help. So that's why we're telling our stories today. Unlike Coach Carmelle, I actually was eating like all of it. So pork, red meat, everything, seafood, everything. I even would like occasionally have, well, not even occasionally, I feel like I would regularly have a steak salad in my routine. I don't know if I would say weekly, but probably every other week, every 10 days, maybe. So I was very, my transition was very abrupt, and it really started with, I also started in 2021, ironically. And so I'm about 4.5 years vegan. And during the pandemic, before I went vegan, I really started to focus on my nutrition, because right before the pandemic, I broke up with my long-term boyfriend. I started CrossFit, and then I quit my job all at the same time. Yeah. So I was like just eating and getting thick. I was lifting. I was just like out here getting strong, but I was also just eating a lot. And I gained like 25 pounds or so. It didn't look crazy because I was putting on muscle as well. So it was kind of just like, oh, okay, like she's just getting strong. But I kind of, during the pandemic, I was kind of like, all right, I really need to get a hold on my diet. And it was really just a lot of like managing my portion control, or, having some discipline with portion control. So during the pandemic, I had time. I was working from home. I started to meal prep. I started to get very consistent with tracking and eating the same meals over and over. Then 2021 rolls around, and my sister and I do the Whole30, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a elimination diet, and you take away all of the main allergens from your diet, and then for 30 days, and then you will slowly reintroduce them one by one. So, dairy, nuts, even like oatmeal, I wasn't allowed to eat, which that was tough, but we got through it. And before that, we did the Whole30 because, like I said before, my sister, we were living together at the time. My sister had a gluten allergy, and she was trying to figure out and pinpoint whether there was other allergens that were getting in her diet consistently. And so was I. So I was like, yeah, we'll do this. Because I was experiencing a lot of knee pain from an injury from college. I had a ton of inflammation in my joints, digestive issues. So I was suffering from almost like a IBS type of symptom issue. And I didn't have great skin, and everybody always like compliments my skin, but it was breaking out and it was leaving scars. It was just not good. Like, I mean, my skin was so bad, and it's hard to even think about that right now because I don't suffer from skin issues. But it was seriously bad, and people literally don't believe me. They're like, no, your skin was fine. I was like, no, it wasn't.
Right. Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. I suffered some skin issues and acne in high school, and then it was like a different wave after, when I was hitting my late 20s, and I'm like, I'm too old for this, So all of those things were happening, and with my knee pain, I was doing CrossFit, but I was having trouble squatting to depth. I was having trouble lunging, jumping, all kind of, anything that would like bend the knees, and it was just inflammation. And I would sleep with ice packs on my knees.
Wow.
Seriously, it was crazy. The digestive issues, I was trying to like take that like fiber powder that you would put in your water, and it was just rough. I mean, the digestive issues, it's a little bit of TMI for the podcast, but it was bad. And so I was like, I have to do something, because I was in my late 20s and I was having issues doing basic things like squatting. Running was hard. Everything was just hard. So then right after we finished the Whole30, and then we were starting to do our reintroduction phase, where after the 30 days, you reintroduce one allergen each week, and then you take it back out and see if you have a reaction. Once we finished that phase, it was February, and it was almost January. And then I was listening to one of Lisa's podcasts. Lisa's our like business nutrition coach. She was the one who certified us in plant-based nutrition. And she has a podcast, and it was called the Black Health Academy. And I was listening to her one day, and she was like, you can do this. And I took that as my sign of, you can do this. You can go vegan, and all your problems will be solved.
Pretty much.
That's what I took it as. And that summer before, we went to the IDEA conference in California, and we actually met the Vegan Strong team, and I took a bunch of their brochures and their flyers, and I found that, because at the time I was like, I'll never go vegan. This is too extreme. I love eggs too much, blah, blah, blah. And that day that I listened to Lisa, fast forwarding to 2021, I went home to my sister, and I was like, listen, I'm going vegan, and I just want to let you know. And I was scared to tell her too. And she was like, okay, I'll go vegan too.
Wow.
And I was like, really? And that was it. She was like, yeah, we'll go vegan. So that day, I don't know what it was, but I was completely turned off by eggs, dairy, meat, fish. That fast. It happened immediately. I was eating, it was like a chicken thigh and something else. I don't know, some like vegetables mixed together, and I just could not eat it. And I literally, we had just meal prepped all this like salmon and all this chicken and all this food, and I couldn't eat any of it. And I felt so bad. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I literally can't eat this. And so my sister finished whatever she could. And what is it? March 1st, we both went vegan and we never looked back. Since then, Caesar, he's stage 5 clinger. So since then, I have ran multiple marathons. I've continued to compete in CrossFit, but I do not wear my knee sleeves anymore. I had to wear my knee sleeves for everything. I don't have digestive issues. I can run, I can jump, I can lunge, I can squat, I can do all the things. And I don't feel limited. And my skin cleared up.
Yay.
But it was like night and day. I mean, I was always bloated or constipated, one or the other. I could not run a marathon. I could barely run a 5K because my knees were in so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then for CrossFit, again, I had to wear my knee sleeves all the time to do anything. I literally don't even know where my knee sleeves are because I just never use them. And it was literally like night and day. And like a lot of times, I'm sure you get this too, Coach, people will say, oh, well, are you offended or are you bothered by me eating this meat? And I'm like, that has nothing to do with me. And it seriously doesn't, because again, like Coach Carmelle was saying, we went vegan for our health because we were the odds were stacked against us as far as health. As Black women, as just women of color, we are at risk of a lot of these diseases that are preventable. And I did not want to be another statistic. My mom died in her early 50s, and I was like, I cannot be on the track to do that. And again, like just people of color in our country are like just plagued with all of these preventable diseases. And I was like, I can't be that. I just cannot. And it's deeper when it's your people. And don't get me wrong, like the compassion and the animals and like learning about all of the things that veganism helps is like amazing. But the first step of it was for our health.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that we just can't ignore. And I always say, if you know more, you owe more. And when you find out and you wake up and you open your eyes to all of the crazy things that are happening, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, whoa, this is deep. And then you like, you go down these rabbit holes of all of the things that you've done in the past or things that you're just watching and witnessing all the time. And you just want everybody to know, and you want everybody to be helped and be healthy. But the reality of it is like, we are not set up to succeed as far as our health. Yeah. So we have to take the steps to like take back our health and be in charge of that. So that was my main why of like, I watched, my family die so young, and I was seeing it in myself of like, your body's starting to deteriorate and you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
What are you going to look like in your 30s, 40s, and 50s?
Crazy.
So that was a immediate hard stop of like, okay, this is not going well, and we need to take a complete 180 pivot because this isn't going to end well.
Yeah, I love that story. And for everybody, it's different, right? So my thing was curiosity, but at the end of the day, it was for health. Mm-hmm. Because I had clients, I was training people on how to eat and exercise. And I was telling them all basically what the standard American diet, like, let's take from there. Because my diet was shit too. All I cared about was protein, and that's it, no matter what form it came in. And so I ate a lot of candy bars that said high in protein because that's what they are. They're candy bars. So my why was actually developed through my process, because once I realized that I had reversed these 3 diagnoses, I was like, well, what else can this thing offer me? And that's when I really started learning about how plant-based really can fix so much. Everything from physical ailments like your knee pain to what's going on inside, like our prediabetes, hypertension, to mental health. It's not, I don't have to do one thing. Like when we get diagnosed with something and we're given pills and medication, it's one medication for mental health. It's one medication for the IBS that comes along with that medication for mental health. And it's another medication to fix the fact that you might now have anxiety because of the mental health medication and whatever you're taking for the IBS. And that's 3 different things that we have to take because one thing relates to the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're eating and we're treating our food like medicine, we're literally we're following one lifestyle. We're doing one thing, and it pretty much covers the gambit. So as I started learning about all of that and understanding where I was with my sugar addiction and how I can actually not follow in the footsteps of my mother who died from Alzheimer's dementia, I'm like, sugar is all over this. My father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's before he was tragically killed in a car accident, but sugar was all over that and what my father was going through. And I can see the signs. My mother always had a sweet tooth. So she said she fed her family sugar. I always remember we always had sweet treats. We always had candy. We always had donuts. We always had cake. My mother made cake. My mother would make liquor for the family at the end of the year, like for the family. So over the stove, my mother would make her own liquor. So we had sugar in this house. Like my mother did not deprive her babies of sugar. So I'm like, I am walking down this same path. And I'm like, I refuse because the last 15 years of my mother's life, my mother was not there, not in her mind because of this really tragic disease. And now I'm learning so much. I'm like, I just like what you said, Lesley, I got to share this with the world. So much we can save ourselves from if we're watching more closely what we're eating. So that was huge for me. So that became my why, to save myself from the path that my parents went down and to help others. Help others.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, again, once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
You can't. And that was what, like I said, that's what sealed the deal for me. The fact that I'm like, so many people are suffering because of this in so many more ways than just our health. Like our mental health is affected, our physical health is affected, chronic conditions are affected. Like our daily lives are affected by the consumption of meat products and how this country treats meat products, what they do to it, how it's grown, all of the things. Right. And I'm like, wow, if we know better, we owe better. Like we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the people that we know and love and the people that know and love us. We owe it to them to not only teach, but live by example and do what we have to do, especially if we believe in it. I believe in it. There's some people out there that don't believe in it, and that's fine too.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't believe that. And I actually, thinking about my origin story, I wrote about like just support system. And the reality of it is like, you might not get the support from the people that you want it from. And you have to find your tribe of people that do support you, even if they are just an ally and, they still eat meat or whatever. They support you and your decisions, your eating. And unfortunately, it really might not be your family. That's the saddest part about it, is it might be your really good friends. It might be
strangers,
a professor or a mentor or a coach, and it might not be your significant other. And you have to figure out how to navigate around that, or figure out what you're going to do about that, because the bottom line is you need a support system, but you
Absolutely.
have to make sure that you have one, and it's you surround yourself with the people that you can trust and that have your best interests at heart, because this is it's not an easy lifestyle. It's really not. And like as soon as you put the word vegan on something, it's sometimes people will literally just not even eat it. It could be something that has been vegan forever. An apple,
Yeah.
just an apple. And if you put vegan on it, people would literally think twice about eating it.
Yeah.
Is that real? Are you eating real potatoes?
Right.
Ma'am.
It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind why people do things like that and they're not even curious about it. I've been around those people too. It's bizarre. It's like, do you understand that vegan or plant-based means that it's coming from the earth in some way, shape, or form? And come on.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have
nothing
any
more,
products in
nothing
it.
less. Like
Yeah.
it's just a plant.
Yeah.
Just a plant. So yeah, it is very, we were talking about the pasta, and a lot of times saying that a lot of times it is vegan, it just doesn't say vegan. But if it does say vegan, people are like, vegan. It's been vegan.
Yep, it tastes terrible. Does it have a taste?
Yeah.
Will I like
vegan.
it?
To some people, vegan has a taste. It tastes vegan.
Yeah, it tastes vegan. I had somebody tell me, does it taste like dirt? I'm like, really? That's really where you're going with that? Because it's a plant, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that part is interesting. So I want to go back to the support that you said. I know that your support system initially was your sister because she's like, yeah, let's do it. Who else was your support system, or did you create one? Did you seek one out? Who else was just kind of like, go, Lesley, go?
Truly. So I became plant-based in March of 2021, and I started Farm to Table, which was our coach Lisa, her group of individuals that it was a cohort of individuals that she basically helped us know how to become and stay vegan, because again, like I said, I was just eating sides. So she introduced a recipe book to me that I used faithfully, actually, and I that whole group of us, we got really close because a lot of us were brand new vegans. Most of us were brand new vegans. There were a couple that had been vegan for a while, but we had no idea. So that was my support system, and it was all virtual because it was right after the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was kind of still during the pandemic, but so yeah, that was my virtual support system, because I didn't get that much support from my family. And they didn't understand, and they thought it was weird. And I mean, it was tough. Luckily, I lived with my sister and she agreed to it, because living with somebody who isn't plant-based can be difficult. In those fragile days, I think that I would have not succeeded, or it would have been way harder if my sister was not vegan. So I think really that was kind of all I needed, because I had my sister who lived in my home, and then I had her boyfriend and husband now that was supportive, and then the Farm to Table group, and some of my work friends and all that. But yeah, I mean, that was my support system. So what about you?
So my support system, like I said, I was in a community, and I was in this community. It was also a virtual community, but it was an audio. It wasn't live video or anything. It was just an audio app that I would just jump on. I don't know if you've heard of Clubhouse.
I don't think
No?
so.
Okay. So it's an audio app called Clubhouse, and you go on there, and I would just film myself in. It was like a house, and I would just go to rooms, virtual rooms that had to do with health and fitness. And so I found myself around a lot. I found myself in rooms with a lot of vegans. So I just gravitated towards them. And like I said, one day I was like, oh, let's see what this vegan thing is about. And so I was already in the community. And so now when I emerged and I was like, you guys, I tried it. And when I tried it, I said, I'm going to be vegan for a week. Literally, that was what I was proclaiming to the world. After that week was done, I was like, that was 7 days. I'm still alive and I'm still good. I said, let me do it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into a month, and a month turned into like 4 years later. That was actually August of 2021. So you have a few months on me. And I remember going into these rooms and saying, I'm 7 weeks vegan. I'm 12 weeks vegan. And everybody, the accolades and the support, like, what do you love about it? And new recipes. And this is what I did. And pin a picture of your last meal and see, like, it was just an adventure for me. I was like, wow, this is new. It opened up a whole new world for me. So this audio app community really fueled me and really supported what I was doing. I was living alone at the time. So I feel like it's easier when you live alone too, because there's nobody around me bringing in the stuff that I used to eat. So now my apartment, my refrigerator, my cabinets only had vegan food, plant-based food. So there was nothing extra to entice me. And it was right after the pandemic. So I really wasn't going out with friends. I really wasn't going to the restaurants. So that's why I found it so easy. And that's just a disclaimer, because I did not have a hard time being vegan. Sure, I would end up in a sushi restaurant and be like, oh my God, the shrimp is my favorite. Or I would end up at another restaurant and be like, oh my goodness, I remember their chicken. Oh, things like that. But I really got over that really quickly, because I was just like, oh no, this is what I am now.
Right.
What do you have on your menu that would support what it is that I'm doing? And I found that chefs and servers were very willing to help when I approached them. That is a matter of factly. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm plant-based. I just want to know if there's anything on the menu that really can serve me. I had chefs come out to speak to me to find out exactly what my dietary needs were. And I'm like, what is the big deal with everybody that they say they can't go to a restaurant? And I'm like, this is easy. People were actually supporting my decision. Everybody from friends and colleagues, coworkers, everybody was just kind of like, oh no, you don't? Okay, well, I don't know what's here for you, but we can ask. So that was how I felt about it. And I really feel like the energy you put forth is the energy you get back. Now, some people become plant-based because their backs are against the wall. They have a diagnosis. The doctor says, change your diet or else this is what's going to happen. And so they go kicking and screaming. I did it out of curiosity. I did it out of like, wow, like it was an exploration for me. And I feel like if people shifted their mindset and thought about, let's see what the world has to offer, let's see what this plant-based world has to offer, I feel like they would have a better time with the transition. And that's how I looked at it, with these big bright eyes, like a little child, like, wow. And that was my experience. I was having such a good time learning about foods. I really was. And my sister, I was trying to tell my sister, and she hesitated a little bit because she was married at the time and her husband was not going to go for it. It wasn't going for it. And she knew that there would be some kind of a fight back. So she just decided, I'm just going to back off. And when she did become plant-based, her husband was not happy with it. He was like, this is going to change everything. We can't go to the restaurants that we used to go to. We can't eat together anymore. He was like, nothing in his body said, let me try this too, right? Let me see what you're talking about. And my sister did it with her back against the wall because she didn't know what else to do. She suffers with endometriosis. Her insurance company was not giving her the insurance medications that she needed. She needed to do something different. She says, maybe this is what I need. Because I kept telling her, try this, try this, try this. And it was always a pushback because she knew that she was going to get pushback from her husband. And 1 month as a plant-based vegan, her endometriosis symptoms disappeared.
Wow.
And one day we'll bring her on so we can hear her story directly from her mouth. But that is basically her story. And she was a believer since then. So again, everybody's origin story is very, very different, and their mindset is different. How they go into it is different. The people they have around them, their support system is different, but it is important. It's the most important thing, like Coach Lesley said, to make sure that you do have a support system in place, because you will start craving things. Maybe not, because Coach Lesley was like, everything was disgusting to me. Me, I still walk by KFC and I'm like, but I would never, because the idea of it, two things happen with me. The idea of eating flesh turns me the fuck off. Excuse my language. That's number one. Number two, knowing what it's going to do inside my body and how it behaves inside my body once I've consumed it, that's another turnoff. So I have two things that happen to me when I go through, what if I did just eat that? I know too much. I know too much. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
All right. Well, let's segue into the plant powered challenge. Me and Carmelle have kind of toyed with which food we wanted to do.
Yeah.
This week, we have tempeh. Tempeh is a fermented soy product, and it's kind of it's sometimes hard to figure out. Sorry, I want to keep this on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep my little podcast app on, but it went away. So hopefully no one calls me.
Hopefully nobody calls.
Yeah, it's 1:30. So it's a little bit complicated to make. And I tried tempeh probably like four-ish times before I
figured it out.
Yeah. And I had it in a meal at like a restaurant, and I was like, oh, this is like really good. So I tried to make that meal and recreate it, and I did. So that was the game changer for me. And then last summer I did tempeh on the grill a lot, and put barbecue on it, and it was delicious. So that now I bake it a lot. Sometimes I put it in the air fryer, season it really well, and do it like that. But at first I was just kind of like, this is weird. But a lot of times before I will put it on the grill, I'll boil it to soften it up a little bit, and then put it right on the grill. And then I treat it just like I would ribs. Well, I don't cook, but I will put the barbecue on. And a lot of times I make my own barbecue, but that's a whole other story. So, Coach Carmelle, how do you eat your tempeh? What do you usually do?
So I will definitely season it beforehand, like at least a day before. I'll put in all my seasonings, meaning onion and garlic. I don't really use salt. So I'll do the onion, garlic, paprika. I'll put in a little bit of the coconut aminos. That's where my sodium comes from, so I don't have to use the salt, and some vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and let it really kind of like sit in there and marinate in it for a nice, like at least overnight. And then I'll more recently, I've thrown it into the air fryer. Now, the tempeh, the texture is very tough. It's not like tofu, where tofu's soft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And which is what Coach Lesley was saying about sometimes she'll boil it first before she puts it on the grill. It's tough. So I can see why people are don't run to tempeh, right? And it's not as versatile as tofu, although they're both soy products. But it is a good food because it's a fermented food and it's good for our gut. But I love tempeh now, and the way I do it, and I cut it up and I throw it in the air fryer, and it's crispy, and it just gives me a good texture, and I could chew, and it's not too soft, and all the things. I've baked it before. I've done it stovetop before. And one day I was like, can I eat this raw? And I had a few pieces of tofu raw because I was hungry. I was not around anything where I could cook it with. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, but you're not supposed to eat it raw. You're really not. Nothing happened to me. Thank goodness. It didn't give me the run. Like nothing happened to me. But I was just like, okay, I won't do that again. It just did not taste good.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Yeah, it just does not taste good. So experiment with it, find a recipe for it, see how to prepare it. So that's our challenge to you, tempeh. Just go ahead and try it. It's very good for us, and it's super high in protein.
Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to add. It is. So yeah, give it a try. If you hate it the first time,
Give it another chance.
so did you hate it the first time?
I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. I'm like, oh,
Okay.
it was so tough. It was hard to go down. I was just like, oof.
Okay, yeah. So if you hated the first time, we didn't love it the first time either. But also reach out to us. We have recipes. Sometimes it's really just like a palate change.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I agree. All right. We've kept the folks long enough with our stories and
yeah,
our rantings.
yeah.
So, how do you want to close this out? You just want to say goodbye to good people, or?
Yeah, yeah. I
All
think
right.
that's
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I want to say, well, thanks for watching. I want to say also definitely subscribe. We're babies at this, so you have to bear with us. But our intention is to really bring good content, bring our stories and our experiences to life about being whole food, plant-based athletes, coaches, nutrition coaches, and everything else that we are. Marathon runners. I'm half marathon runner. I've done three marathons. That's not a little bit. That's a big deal. All the things. Yeah. Did you want to add to that, Coach Lesley?
Not really. Just like and subscribe us, share the podcast, and we appreciate all of you for tuning in.
And we'll see you next week.
All right. See ya.